Hello Internet, welcome back to my channel Global Issues Simplified. In this channel, I try to declutter complex global issues for easy understanding. So if you are doing a school project or simply want to understand the gist of certain global issues so that you can make some cool points in a friendly debate, then you are in the right place. In the last couple of years, the world is going through a turmoil. First, the COVID and its impact on human life and world economy. Then, the Russian invasion of Ukraine causing large-scale energy crisis in EU countries, followed by high inflation and economic slowdown, and the latest is the huge number of job losses across the tech sector. One thing which is very evident in all of those events is that the impacts are not limited to a certain country or a group of countries only. Each of those events have impacted the whole world. That is because countries have grown increasingly interdependent through a globally integrated economy and trade. In today's world, manufacturing of anything depends on integrated global supply chain of intermediate components. This graph shows the globalization trend across 5 centuries. The 19th century triggered a period of marked growth in world trade, the so-called first wave of globalization, driven by the technological advances. It slowed down during the 2 world wars. The trade started growing again in the post-Second World War era. This new and ongoing wave of globalization has seen international trade grow faster than ever before. Today, the sum of exports and imports across the nations amounts to more than 50% of the value of total global output. Another very interesting graph by Our World in Data shows how the bilateral trade, that is trade among a pair of countries, is increasing over the years over unilateral trade and no trade among all possible pairs of countries. Most countries that exports goods to a country also imports goods from the same country and hence intertwining the economy of those countries. This intricate dependency also gives rise to vulnerability. Actions of one nation or a group of nations will either have a negative or a positive impact across the globe. Edward Luttwak, the well-regarded American author on military strategy, coined the term geoeconomy in 1990, and what he meant by that was, it was the use of economic instruments to promote and defend national interest to produce beneficial geopolitical results. In a wider sense, economic might and geoeconomic instruments support a nation's national security by contributing to a strong economy, which in turn enables economic policy to accomplish a country's geopolitical objectives. Sounds complex, right? This is indeed a vast subject which cannot be covered in one video. So in today's video, I'll be drawing your interest to one of those aspects, the broader geoeconomy, which is known as currency war. The term currency war was coined by the Brazilian finance minister Guido Mantega in 2010. This strategy was also known as competitive devaluation, and it is nothing new and is being practiced by countries for decades now. So illogical as it may seem, a strong currency is not necessarily an advantage for a country. Countries engage in currency wars to gain a comparative edge in international trade. When they devalue their currencies, they make their exports more attractive in foreign markets. By effectively lowering the cost of their exports, the country's products become more appealing to overseas buyers. Local businesses export more, become more profitable, and create new jobs. As a result, the country benefits from stronger economic growth. Currency war also encourages investment in the nation's assets. The stock market becomes less expensive for foreign investors. Foreign direct investments increases as the country's businesses become relatively cheaper. Foreign companies may also buy up natural resources. So how does a country weaken its currency? By putting it simply, it happens when a central bank decides to make its currency less valuable as part of its monetary policy. A country that pegs its currency to the US dollar, all it has to do to devalue the currency is to increase the gap by adjusting the peg. However, because most major world economies are free-floating and not pegged to a currency, it is more complex to devalue their currencies. There are several ways in which a central bank can devalue a free-floating currency, such as quantitative easing, which is nothing but increasing the supply of the currency and lowering the interest rates. Simple rule of supply-demand works here. When the supply exceeds the demand, it becomes cheaper. Let's for example take the Chinese monetary policy and understand how it is pushing the yuan against the US dollars. China used to have a fixed rate against the dollar. In 2005, China switched from a fixed exchange to a more floating exchange rate, but it prefers to keep its currency low to make its exports more competitive. China's currency power comes from its exports to America. The exports are mostly consumer electronics, clothing, and machinery. The US trade deficit with China was $315 billion in 2012 and rose to $367 billion by 2015, before dropping down to $346 billion the following year. By 2018, it had increased to $418 billion before falling to $345 billion in 2019. At the end of 2020, the deficit with China had dropped to $310.8 billion, the lowest since 2011. Many US-based companies send raw materials to Chinese factories for cheap assembly. The finished goods become imports when they are shipped back to the United States. Have you ever noticed how on the packaging of many products, such as Apple, it is written, "Designed by Apple in California, assembled in China"? Chinese companies receive American dollars as payments for their exports, which they deposit into their local banks in exchange for yuans to pay their workers. Local Chinese banks transfer dollars to China's central bank, which stockpiles them in their foreign currency reserves. The currency's central bank holdings reduce the supply of dollars available for trade. That puts upward pressure on the dollar. China's central bank also uses the dollars to purchase US treasuries. It needs to invest in its dollar stockpile into something safe that will give them a return, and there is nothing safer than treasuries. China knows that this will further strengthen the dollar and lower the yuan's value. As per estimates, China's forex reserves in 2023 is $3.18 trillion, which was merely approximately $1 trillion in 2007. While the economic effect of devaluing a currency may improve a country's trading position, there are also downsides. In making exports more competitive and imports more expensive, devaluation can decrease purchasing power and lead to inflation. In the long run, currency devaluation may lower productivity. Also remember how in the beginning I talked about no one country is isolated from global events in today's interconnected economy. The economic effect of a currency's devaluation by one nation can lead to a massive impact in other parts of the world. For example, when China devalued the yuan in August 2015, it was felt worldwide. Most currencies were impacted, notably the Indian rupee, Singaporean dollar, Korean won, Malaysian ringgit, and the Indonesian rupiah. On January 6, 2016, it further relaxed its control of the yuan as part of China's economic reforms. The uncertainty over the yuan's future caused the American stock index to fall over 1,000 points over 1 week. It will be interesting to see which direction the yuan versus dollar fight will go in the future. In a war, real or economic, there are always winners and losers. As one currency rises, another one must fall to someone's advantage or disadvantage, and all of us will be impacted in some way or the other. As usual, I'll share the links that I have referred below in the description box for you to go through if you want to know more about the topic. I hope that you liked the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Press the bell icon so that you will be notified when I upload my next video. It will motivate me to put more effort to bring more such interesting, simplified views to you. Also, do write in the comments what other global issues you are interested in so that I can make videos on it. See you next time. Be well. Peace.